Hi, I'm here to give you a quick walk through the Quality Matters website and also to give you a little information about Quality Matters, right? So the web address is qualitymatters.org, and you're going to get here and you're going to see this opening page, and you're going to find a lot of information about how to get more information. You can click here to the rubrics and standards. One thing to make sure is that you're always going to the higher ed section, not the K through 12 or the publisher standards. And so this is just available to anyone. It's going to give you an overview of what the rubric is, who would use it, what the 8 standards are for the higher ed rubric, and then some other information. But you're not going to get a lot of details unless you set up an account and you're with a member. So what you want to do is, if you haven't signed up, you're going to click sign up under membership. Use your SSC account. Under the membership type, make sure you choose higher ed. And again, you can fill out the rest of that as you want. So let me go to my login because I am already a member. Sometimes it can take a while for some of these pages to load. Okay, now I'm already signed in, so I didn't get to the login page, but you'll see a place for to put your email and your password. So this is what happens when you actually sign in. If you look up here, notice that there are options, and I want to make sure that I am on the higher ed option, because we don't want to get into K through 12 stuff, right? You're going to see all of these up here will match things down here as well. This is just kind of a shortcut. My account will allow you to do things like set passwords. You can also down here change your affiliation, edit your profile, right? My activity basically is going to show you what you've done in QM. So if you've submitted any courses for review, if you've taken any professional development, right? If you've earned any certificates. So I've been doing this since 2012. I have quite a few certificates, so I can go back and I can actually see all the certificates that I've done. This is really great if you're needing to do your self-evaluation at the end of the year at the college and you're like, oh my God, did I take that workshop this year or whatever, right? You can just again see everything that you've earned. Some of these things don't give you necessarily a certificate. They're just, orientation for how to use Canvas, that kind of stuff, right? But again, you can print these out, put them on your wall if you want to. So again, if you've actually submitted a course for review, you can click there and it'll show that. If you've reviewed courses, that's like if you're a peer reviewer. So I'm a peer reviewer for Quality Matters. I took all that courses. So these are all the courses that I've actually reviewed for other colleges, right? So you can actually see a list of all of that. My tools, the course review system, this is the CRMS up here. By the way, my CR and PRMS, just ignore those. You don't need those. Classroom is if you're actually taking a course. You click that, it'll go into Canvas, and you'll see the course that you can enter. It's like, Canvas is their LMS, so it'll list all the courses that you're enrolled in. You will not, you might not have QM coordinator listed. Some of these things are just because I have certain roles. So again, you probably won't have that. But the course review system, this is useful even if you're not submitting your course for review, because you can do a self-review. So if you're actually doing a formal review, you're submitting your course for that, then you'll need to come here to fill out the application and the course worksheet. And here are some examples that you can see of the course worksheet. If you're a peer reviewer, this is where you'll come to fill out a worksheet for a class that you're reviewing for someone else. But this is where you can come to actually use the workbook, the online version of the workbook, right? So this is the 6th edition of the workbook. It has all of the standards with the annotations and, examples of what you're looking for, with some other stuff. You actually have a place where you can actually write stuff in it if you want. I don't tend to write in this, but you can't make copies of this, by the way. You can contact Michael Schnell if you don't have a workbook. Certainly if somebody else has already done a course review and they're finished with their workbook, they can pass it on to you. But again, this is copyrighted material and you can't photocopy it. You can only get an original. They're about $25. So again, you can contact Michael if you need one. So I'm going to come down here. You should only see this rubric because this is the only rubric we have access to with our membership. So, and then you can either title and then save it, or if you've already saved one, you can just come down here and click it, and it's going to go back into the review. If you've added information, you're going to save, and it's going to still be there. You can pick up. You don't have to sit and do the whole thing at once. Notice that it's spinning. This is a pretty, I would, as some, you saw the courses I peer reviewed. Just as a heads up, I would say save routinely if you're doing this, because the system freezes and you'll lose stuff that you have written. I oftentimes just copy the course review and paste it into Word and just kind of fill it out. Or sometimes I just say standard 1.1 and I write my comments there, and then I paste them into that, because I have been working on something and the system freezes and I've lost all of that content. So again, if you're doing a self-review, then just make sure you're saving pretty regularly. And it's taken a long time to get in. This, like I said, this has got all the 8 standards plus the substandards for the reviews. Well, we're not going to look in that. You just know where to go to fill that out. When you're in the CRMS system, you're also going to see a reference library. There's a glossary of terms. So if you're not sure what alignment means, then you can come here and see if the term is on their list. So that's very helpful, because some of this stuff is, if you have an education degree or you've taken education courses, some of these things might be very common to you because you've gone through the process of learning how to write course objectives and stuff like that and plan courses. If you don't have education coursework, it might be very new for you. It might be not something that you've ever thought about. So again, it's nice to have that. Okay, so here's our course review system. Again, here's where you can save, and I think there's a save button down here. So these are the 8 general standards. So when I'm working on standard 8, I click that tab, and then I see the regular standards underneath. Just in general, each standard that you have to meet each standard at an 85% or better proficiency. So we're not looking for perfection here, right? And the peer review is taken, the peer reviewers look at your course as if they were students, not as if they are colleagues or experts in anything. We always go into a peer review pretending that we're a student. If I'm enrolling this course and I go into this course, what is the first thing I see? Do I see where to start? Do all of the links work? Is it easy to figure out, what assignment due dates are, right? It looks at those kind of things. It looks at the design of the course. Does it meet universal design for learning standards, which do include ADA, but they are bigger than ADA, because you don't have to have an ADA to have maybe issues with the way things are laid out, right? Is the font at a decent size and a decent color, or that kind of stuff, right? So when you go here, you're going to see this says 3 points, right? This is also a 3-point standard, but when you come down here to assignment 1, this is a 1 point, this is 2 points, right? So these are all going to add up, and you need to make a certain score to actually pass the rubric, right? 42 points. However, the 3-point rubrics or 3-point standards are considered essential standards. That means that if you don't get 2 out of 3 votes from the peer reviewers, then it doesn't matter. You might get perfect scores on everything else, but if you have 1 3-point standard that you've not passed, then you cannot pass the peer review. Now, the great thing is, again, this idea that improvement is continuous. You will have a chance to, if you do not pass your course review, you will have a chance to fix things within a certain time frame and resubmit it, where the master reviewer will then go back and see if you have, revised and addressed the issues, right? And I have been on several course reviews where they had to do that. I've also been on quite a few that they went through and did a great job the first time. They didn't have to review. So again, that's why the self-review is important, that you can kind of walk through it yourself, or maybe even have somebody else look at it for you. To do that, you would have to have them added to the course, maybe your sandbox course in Brightspace, that they could then log in and look at it. That's something for you to talk about with Teresa Norman. But again, this is very helpful. So other things in the reference library, you can see course review resources. So this is going to give you links to tutorials, to soft chalk. I think this is the review standard 8.3 is a soft chalk presentation, how to, do different steps in the process. My tools, the accessibility and usability resource site, this is for, again, trying to meet those universal design standards. So making sure the class is not only accessible, but usable. So we've got a lot of different handouts there. And I'd say this is probably one of the standards that is most unfamiliar by a lot of faculty. Unless you've taken instructional design courses, it's probably not something that you've very much thought of on a real formal level. And so again, this gives you some, tips about how to make sure your course is presented properly. I don't think anything else there is anything that you would need. So again, you can go back to the MyQM homepage. And then you're also going to find a lot of information up here. So membership, there's a nice FAQ page. We do have a link to this particular FAQ on our training page that, again, covers a lot of variety of areas. You have, again, how to use QM, professional development. You have, on workshops, you're going to actually see a discussion of all the workshops they offer. So the TOC workshops, this is the Teaching Online Certificate. There is a higher ed specific one, and then a K through 12. You can actually take all 9 of these courses and earn a certificate in being an online instructor. That's fairly expensive. It's about, if you take all of them, you get like a 10% discount. So it's about like maybe $900 to $1,000. They just raised rates, so I'm not sure how much it is now. But you want to make sure you go into the higher ed tab so that you see what the specific courses are for higher ed. You click on this, and you're going to see, again, you can register or you can learn more. Now, when you register, you can see then all the courses that they're offering. Again, click higher ed so it weeds out the courses that are for K through 12. And you can see when it starts and when it ends. You can also see, is it online? It looks like there's a webinar. I'm assuming the webinar is a live action one, whereas the online are asynchronous. You just log in when you need to. They do offer other things that are more face-to-face, but with COVID, they've pretty much gone to all online. And you can see there are multiple examples of all of these courses. Now, here's the caveat. These are pretty expensive. They cost about $300. Some of them are more expensive than the others. But we also have an Oklahoma consortium that offers in-state QM workshops at a greatly reduced price, like maybe $30 a pop, right? So that's like a big difference, right? So those are the ones you want to take if possible. Again, you can contact Michael Schnell and he can let you know what those courses are and get you on the consortium email list so that when they send out the dates, you know what they're offering. The thing is that they're not going to offer all of these. They're probably just going to offer, like, I think they do the applying the APP QMR. They offer the peer review workshop. They offer, I think, the design your own and then improving your own course. I think those are the ones they offer the 4, right? So again, if you need to take or want to take any of these other things, then you would probably have to go with the national. You can apply for professional development funds, the Faculty Senate Professional Development Committee, to pay for this. And in fact, that might be where they're wanting us to fund all of those. But again, that's not my milieu, so you need to contact Michael or Dr. Goler to find out how they want you to do that. But again, probably you can submit it for professional development. I mean, if you wanted to do that whole teaching online certificate, I mean, you could put in for how much it's going to cost and get those funds, right? If the money's available. If you're looking for which courses to start out with, designing your own online course would be for beginners who have very little knowledge of how to design a course. Improving your online course would be intermediate to advanced, that you've already designed it, but you want to maybe figure out how can you make it better. Applying the Quality Matters rubric, the APP QMR, is for actually then showing you how do you apply. It does not go through all of the standards. It goes through most of them. It gets you really started. there is a second one. I don't see it off the top of my head right here. That actually is the second one that you take after the APPQMR, and that certifies you to actually be a peer reviewer. And so it's going to actually then look at a lot of the other standards. But again, there's one here about standard 8, right? That universal design. Again, if that's really what you need, if you're pretty familiar with everything else, like learning objectives, but you really don't know much about that, you can take that. There is, again, teaching online, welcoming your learners. Let's see. Orienting your online learners. See, this is only $100. So again, some of these are not as expensive because they're not as rigorous. I will say this, I have, like you saw, I have taken a lot. I would not recommend taking one of these during the semester. I would try to do them during intersessions or summer break because they do require a lot of time. If you're taking the APPQMR, that's like a 40-hour course in 2 weeks, maybe sometimes 2.5 weeks. It is very intensive. You can talk to anybody that's taken that to get their kind of feedback. Sometimes the consortium will offer like a 1-day version of that you can go and you spend all day going through that face to face. If they're doing that, again, because of COVID, I'm not sure what their schedule is, but you can do that in 1 day. It is super intensive. But if you take it online, it's going to be a 2-week course. And you have to wait for feedback from the facilitator to move on. And again, it is very intensive. So I would highly recommend that at least the first time you take a QM course, don't take it during the semester. Do it when you actually are on a break, so that you know how much time you've got to devote to it. Okay, so again, you can find conferences and other events that are going on. Research, this is a place where you can find QM research. I think the research library doesn't give you access to articles. It's just like a giant annotated bib that gives you a list of articles and the title and the publication information so you can track it down. QM resources is again where you can go and find like again Resource Center. These are real quick links to things. Like, and here I think you're actually, if you click this, I think you might actually have, you might have access to some of the information like PDFs and things like that of previous presentations. So again, go in and explore the site, start looking at the rubric and start thinking about, applying it. Again, get your workbook from Michael if you need it, or just go to that self-review option and you can actually see the standards online. You don't have to have the workbook to see them, right? So I hope this is helpful. Again, you can email me, you can email Michael Schnell or Dr. Kohler if you have questions, or you can find somebody within your division that has gone through this process that can also maybe be a resource for you to tap. Good luck, and I will see you in the next training video.